think you understand. Now I need a scrubbing. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. Don't sneeze next to me. Watch where those droplets land. To freeze this disease, I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. 'Cause if I catch it, I'll feel crappy inside. I even want my latex gloves. Sanitized, sanitized, sanitized. Yeah, learn this one thing, the 20-second plan. Now my water's running. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Sanitized, sanitized. Yeah, touch that something. I think you understand. Now I need a scrubbing. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. I got my hat on. I don't know if you can see it. I got my hat on. By the way, I am not wearing rings tonight and my jewelry. And the reason why is, I don't feel that happy because I see all kinds of stuff crapping out on us. So tonight's show is going to be a little bit different. I'm saying hello to Terry and Bernadette here. Good to see you folks joining the show here. So let me plug my phone in here so you guys can maybe call tonight if you want to. But don't call yet. Don't call yet. Keep your shirt on and your blouse on and your bra on and everything else. So this is tonight's show, and I had it up here. Tonight we're going to talk about, this is the rough guide to generations, all right? You can see here the greatest generation. Is that what they were called in 1901 to 1927, the greatest generation? I had no idea that's what they were called. Then we had from 27 to like 45, we had the silent generation. Then you had my generation. From 46 to like 64 is the baby boomers, and we had Generation X, the millennials, and now we're up to Generation Z. It's funny, Generation X and Generation Z. How uncool is that? Generation X, I remember that was cool. Generation Z, is that something cool? Do you want to be called Generation, the last letter in the alphabet? The last letter in the alphabet sounds like the last person to cross the finish line, the last loser. I wouldn't want to be called Generation Z. Generation X, I remember that sounded kind of cool. Millennials, which I call them millennials, I don't think that's too cool. You notice here, the millennials now, tonight's show, by the way, is the coronavirus. This is about the coronavirus and how it's being mismanaged by the generations younger than me. And I'm going to say it, the generation younger than me. The coronavirus challenge, this is what the coronavirus challenge is to go out and lick a toilet bowl and then see if you get killed. See if you have the coronavirus. Licking the toilet bowl challenge. And I put here, who are these defiant idiots and who created them? So, and I put down here at the very bottom, you can see I put, are the baby boomers responsible for the defiance and lack of respect from the millennials? Now you get to see me again, all right? I'm a baby boomer, by the way. I was born in 58. Now, if we really calculate it up, and I think I did here somewhere. Where did I do it? I had it on a piece of paper. And, okay, so here we go. The reason I say this is, first of all, millennials. You saw some guy in a toilet here. Let me zoom it up so you can see the guy physically on the toilet and doing what he's doing. All right, here we go with the guy in the toilet. All right, here's the challenge, the coronavirus challenge for a bunch of stupid millennials. He's licking the toilet. Doesn't that look delicious? Wouldn't you love to just get your teeth and nose and mouth and lips and tongues on a toilet anyway? It doesn't look like it's at a Home Depot where the toilet's brand new. It looks like this toilet has had an ass sitting on it. Don't you just have a craving instead of lunch or dinner or breakfast or a snack to just chop down on a toilet bowl? Don't you feel like doing that? I don't understand the stupidity of people in general. So here is a brain dead guy. He's probably more brains going down the toilet drain than are in this millennial's head. What a dumb idiot to do that. And even why would you do that? Here, do I have another one here? Here's a bunch of people at the beach now. We got still people, millennials, going to the beach, hugging themselves. Look at the distance here. Look at the social distancing here. Look at the sweat that's dripping down her arms, which could potentially be infected with a coronavirus. Look at the dude back here with the glasses on, probably to hide his stupid head and his stupid brain capacity, which is empty. If he had his glasses off, you could probably see the glaze in this stupid guy's eyes. I just don't like stupid people, especially today when the stupid people are going to be the ones that are going to be infecting the people that don't want to be infected. They're taking their precautions not to get infected. And here we got a bunch of boneheads going out there, just going out in public. But today's topic is, why did this all happen? Why did it happen? Is it our fault, by the way? The baby boomers, is it part of our fault that this shit is happening? I was born in 1958. I'm 61 years old. I'm not shy to say that. I'm happy to be 61 because I don't want to live on this planet beyond my years because everything's fucked up. And it's going to get worse because we got a bunch of people that are going to take over this planet, the millennials, and mess it up more than it is now because we are still in somewhat, the baby boomers are in somewhat control of the destiny. When we fall out of control of this planet because we've then all retired, we're sitting at the beach, enjoying the beach because because we can be there on our last moment, breathing the salt air in before we croak. So we're laying on the beach, and then the millennials are taking over. Do you think they have any common sense whatsoever? Do you think that we've given them common sense, by the way? So tonight's topic is about baby boomers and Generation X. Are we somewhat responsible for the stupid fucks that are out there on the beach, licking a toilet bowl? And I was driving down Scottsdale, and I saw a bunch of people, teenagers and 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds, playing beach volleyball, and they had their stupid Pabst Blue Ribbon. Why would you even drink Pabst Blue Ribbon? I'm sorry. If anyone here drinks Pabst Blue Ribbon, it tastes like after you're done playing volleyball and you don't have a place to pee, you pee in the Pabst Blue Ribbon bottle. That's what PBR tastes like. I had it once, and I didn't even drink the whole thing. I went and I poured it out and threw it in a trash can. Bunch of crap beer that these millennials drink. Also, drink some quality beer. If you can't drink a quality beer, then don't drink beer at all because it's dulling your senses. You're brain dead. I'm drinking tea. I'm not drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. All right. So, are we somewhat responsible? When you think about it, and I looked up statistics here. Okay, I was born in '58. The average person in 58, say you're born in '58, you wouldn't have your first child until you were at the age of 25.9. I looked this up on the web. So at the age of 25.9, a baby boomer born in 1958 would have his first child in 1984. If you add 1958, 25.9 years, it comes out to 1984. So in all reality, if I was the average baby boomer born in '58, I would have my first child at the age of 25.9, and I would have had my first child in 1954. Now, if you look at my chart here, you see the baby boomers extend from 1946-ish So I'm pretty much close to the very end of the baby boomers. So if you were a baby boomer born in 1946, 47, 48, obviously you would have had your child in the mid 70s or late 70s, all right? So you'd have to adjust it based upon where you were born in that spectrum of the baby boomers, all right? But just taking me, 1958, at the age of 25.9 years old, I would have had my first child in 1984, and then my child in 1984. I looked up statistics for a child born in that time frame. They would have their first child at the age of 26.2, a little bit older than the baby boomers in the time when they would have their first child. So at the age of 1984, my first child would be born. At the age of 26.2, that child would have their first baby. So that child would be born in 2010. Now remember, I did say that the baby boomer span is 1946, which is 12 years younger than me. So if you subtract 10 years from 2010, you come up with the year 2000. The year 2000 is the millennials, all right? At 2000, millennial, right? Millennials. Let me correct it, millennials. So we had the millennials out there doing what they're doing, and like I showed you, they're out there licking toilet bowls. I'll show you this again. And they're out there on the beach. I'll put them side by side. So we got a bunch of boneheads licking toilet bowls. And these are not clean toilet bowls that have just been purchased at Home Depot. And you got these chicks out here rubbing their blouses, rubbing their hands on sweaty bodies, hugging each other, hugging the hair, probably kissing each other. You got one brain dead guy here who just decides to wear sunglasses to look cool, and he looks like an idiot because if you take the sunglasses off, you can probably see the marbles in his head floating around. Let me take these pictures off because I'm sick. I don't want to vomit in a toilet looking at this guy licking a toilet bowl. So what my point of the show tonight is: are we responsible, the baby boomers born in 58, born in 46? Are we responsible for the lack of respect and the lack of intelligence of our children? Because if you think of it, if we were born in 46, our first child would be 25 years later than that. So we're talking mid-70s, all right? So mid-70s, a young baby boomer in the earlier time would have had their first child in the mid-70s. So 1975, now what happened in 75, 76, 77? All the baby boomers, to be quite honest with you, we all had, and we still do have, this aggressive need to be successful. An overwhelming, aggressive need to be more successful than our previous generation, which was called what? What was the previous generation before the baby boomers? The silent generation. So my parents, I guess they're the silent generation, right? They're the silent ones. They raised the baby boomers. And I can remember my parents, they weren't that well off. They lived in a bungalow house in Philadelphia. They did move to further success, and they're doing really well now. But they started off that way, so they weren't all that successful when I was born, all right? And I remember some of the Philadelphia kids, my age when I reached 16, it started about that time. You saw the kids with the mini bikes. I was delivering newspapers on a bicycle. I wasn't in a mini bike. My parents didn't buy me a mini bike because they thought they can't buy me a mini bike because I'm a guy that's supposed to be, my parents wanted to instill in me a need for me to work, to be successful so I can buy that mini bike when I get older, when I can buy it with my own money, buy my first car. I bought my first car with my own money, by the way. Here's something to learn about the generation of baby boomers where all this shit started, to be honest with you. All of this shit started with the baby boomers. And I'll tell you why. When I was a young kid, I started delivering Philadelphia Daily newspapers. Philadelphia Daily News is something you could have bought in one of those boxes. You put the money in, it was 10 cents for a paper then. Put 10 cents in, you pull the handle, and you take a paper out. You take one paper out. You don't take more than one because then that's theft, all right? Take one paper out, and you have your daily news in your hand. You can read it, right? When I was in elementary school, there was a bunch of people from Philadelphia Daily News came in, and they were asking the kids if they wanted to have a newspaper route. So I thought, kind of cool, okay, so I want to do it. But there was no delivery yet, no home delivery of the Philadelphia Daily News. So we had to go door to door and try to get customers. Now, like I said, I'm one of the guys that, via his parents, taught me to be self-reliant, self-responsible, and to take my own initiative in being successful. It's still allergy season here, by the way. Pollen's high. I don't have the coronavirus. My voice a little rough because it's pollen season. In fact, we were walking a dog. I did a video earlier. You saw pollen flying around in the sky. So not a good time for allergy seasons. But back to the topic. So I had to go knocking door to door to try. I'm surprised Willie's not barking when he heard the door because he's behind me. If you can see him, can you see him? He's resting with his bone right next to him. Because I wore him out today, right? Like a good dad would wear out his dog to get him the energy, the exercise. So he's a good defense dog. If anyone tries to break into our house to steal toilet paper, I'm going to have to deal with this guy. They won't have to deal with him looking like this. I'll have to deal with him chomping at the bit because you heard him chomping. I don't know why he does that, clicking his teeth when he's running, trying to catch the ball. I try to not to make him do that because he's going to crack a tooth doing that. And I want his teeth good so he can bite into people that try to break into the house. I want his teeth sharp. I don't want his teeth dull. So back to the story. So knocking on doors. I'm knocking on doors to get Philadelphia newspaper subscribers. So I'm going to have a paper route, all right? This is what happened. All the other baby boomers, remember these are all baby boomers. These are all people of my generation. My parents who were called what did we call them again? The silent generation. I was born to a silent generation, couple of parents, and I'm now the baby boomer, right? I'm a baby boomer. Other baby boomers are knocking on doors. We all went from the same elementary school. Holy Spirit Elementary School in Philadelphia on, what was the street? Doesn't matter the street. You can look it up if you want. You can see the elementary school I went to. Holy Spirit. It closed down now, by the way. Not because of me, and I didn't burn it down, but getting back to the story, why do I keep taking these tangents? So I'm getting customers. I think I had like 12. I knocked on probably like 40 doors, and I got 12 customers, all right? And I did that probably in a couple days, all right? I got customers. After school, I went out, knocked on doors, got customers. Other kids went out, and they got about 12 each, 12, 10. And you know what? It's not worth it. It really wasn't worth it to deliver 10 newspapers, having 10 customers. It's not worth it. Now, it's funny. Right now, look, I'm looking at the screen. I got 10 viewers watching my viewer broadcast right now. Is it worthwhile for me to have 10 viewers? Ironically, it says 10. And I'm talking about 10 newspapers. Was it worthwhile for me to deliver 10 newspapers? No. Is it worthwhile for me to entertain 10 people right now on my podcast? Probably not. What the fuck am I doing? But to get back to the point, I had these 10 customers, right? All the other baby boomers, they all didn't want 10. It wasn't worth it. You know what they did? They said they didn't want it. And you know what? I'm there to collect their 10. So I started with 10, 20, 30, 40. By the time everyone backed out, all the lazy baby boomers who now their parents, the silent generation, lame ones. So it actually started with the silent generation giving in to their children to buy them the mini bikes, to buy them all this shit that they did not need at that young age. They didn't need a mini bike at the age of 13 or 14. In fact, one of my friends and his buddy Lewis and David were on a mini bike and they crashed, fell over. And they had significant injuries, significant. One of them almost died. The other one is scarred. And I used to play tennis with him, and you can see he was scarred. His face was all scarred up because his parents bought him a mini bike for him, the driver, and Lewis to be in the back, and they both fell over and significant damage because they were driving a mini bike. I'm driving a bicycle. So eventually I had 100 customers delivering the Philadelphia Daily newspaper because I was a baby boomer that took pride in his work ethic, in his desire to be a true entrepreneur because my parents instilled that into my head, into my heart, into my soul, into my pants, into my whole being. They gave me that work ethic and that attitude to be successful, all right? Where other baby boomers were not installed with that attitude, and you saw it in Philadelphia, in Packer Park, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Packer Park, Broad and Packer Avenue, you can look it up, right near the Vet Stadium, which is no longer there. By all the stadiums that are down. All the sports stadiums are down there, all right? So I ended up with 100 newspapers. There was only one other kid that had that many. Lewis, another Lewis. Not the one hit on the mini bike, another Lewis. And he was delivering the Philadelphia Bulletin. There was the Inquirer, the Bulletin, and the Daily News, 3 newspapers. He delivered the Bulletin. He could not get any other kid to take his route when he was on vacation with his parents. So I took his route, and in flip-flop of that, when I went on vacation, he took my route. So together, him and I were like entrepreneurs. There was another guy, Romeo, who was like in his 50s or 55 years old. And he was the other guy that had the Inquirer. And he actually delivered the paper. He did it for a living. That was his total way of making money, was to deliver the Philadelphia Inquirer. Lewis was another kid, same age, another baby boomer, by the way. He was delivering the Bulletin. I was delivering the Daily News. We could not get any other baby boomers to deliver our newspapers. Why? Too much work. Too much work, because the silent generation was the first generation to lower the standards in their children and hold them accountable to be at a higher degree of success as them. So here, I believe that all this failure, what's going on today, started with my parents' generation, the ones that were not taking responsibility for their children. Then you get to the baby boomers, and once we grew up, what did we become? We became the ones that not only did we want to progress from our mini bike that our parents bought for us, we wanted to progress to what? To like BMWs. And by the way, I've got a BMW, so I'm not exempt from this either. Although I don't have any kids. So I am exempt from it from that perspective. But of course, I wanted to have a BMW, and I got one. Except I didn't get it too early. I was driving around in other cars before I got the BMW, which I got about 14 years ago, all right? So I did not start off that way as a baby boomer at a 20-year at the age of 20, hopping in my first BMW so I could get laid. I wasn't doing that. So I wasn't a stupid baby boomer. I was an intelligent baby boomer and lived at or below his means. And by the way, I'm going to get to that too. So baby boomers, what did they do? They went out there and they wanted to compete with their parents to have more money than their parents. And how did they do it? The mother and the father of the baby boomers both worked. And I really do see that. I see that. When I was growing up, I saw these married couples, and they're going to work because they needed a better car than their next door neighbor. They needed a better house than their next door neighbor. They needed better clothes than their next door neighbor. It was a complete and total competition, and how could they compete with that? They had to compete with it by being multiple bread owners, two people working. And what does that mean? That means that then the baby boomers that had the mini bikes when they were 12 years old and then had a BMW at a young age, you know what that means? That means that their child is now someone that's spoiled or neglected because they're not there, because they're both working so they can afford that BMW and that house that was foreclosed upon in 2007 because of all the fuck up with that. But this is what happened. So the initial generation of the silent generation, raising the baby boomers and spoiling the fuck out of them with these mini bikes in Philadelphia. Baby boomers then wanted to do what they were taught. What were they taught? They were taught to just produce product for their kids to make them happy when they're not happy. Because if you give someone something for free once, then you're going to have to give them something for free more than once, third time, fourth time, because the kids aren't working for it. The kids with the mini bikes in Philadelphia, when 12 years old, you're not working at the age of 12, although I was delivering newspapers at the age of 12, so I was working. But these other kids in the mini bikes that weren't working, they're getting their mini bikes for free from their parents. And you know what else comes? Then something else they want. And then they're going to cry to their parents, the silent generation. Silent generation parents are going to give that baby boomer the next thing that they want, and the next thing they want, and the next thing they want. What happens with that? Then the baby boomers they have their first child at the age of 25.9, who was born in 1975 to 1982 or 84. Like I said, the spread of that generation encompasses a lot of ages there. They have their first child, and then that child is not only the parents are both off to work, so to make that child happy, they buy him a bunch of shit to just quiet him down so he's not crying. So he's not on the floor doing a tantrum. Because they were doing a tantrum when they didn't get their mini bike, and the generation before them, the silent generation, made them complacent. Instead of breastfeeding them, they bought them a mini bike. And then the baby boomers, in reflection of what their parents did, buy them stuff so that they don't have to breastfeed the kid because the parent isn't home anyway. So they can't breastfeed the kid, so they buy him another piece of machinery, another piece of equipment, another toy, another something else. So he does not earn it. He doesn't appreciate it. And that is the next generation following the baby boomers, which is called Generation X. So Generation X then, they have their first baby. Say they had their first baby at 26.2 years old, and say that they were of age. So they would have had their first child in the year 2000. All right, if you do all the math. their child, the baby boomers' first child, when they're of the earlier decade of the baby boomers, like I said, in the age of this. So then you got Generation X, and they're having their child, they're having their millennial child. All right? Generation X is having their millennial child. After, remember, all the domino effect of all this, the generation that I was part of from my parents, silent generation, me, baby boomer, I'm spoiled. I'm not, but other baby boomers were definitely spoiled because I saw them driving around in mini bikes, trying to run me off the road with their mini bike, and I'm driving a bicycle delivering newspapers. And I told you about that fiasco one time where I actually threw a newspaper at the kid trying to run me off the road because he's got a motorized bike and I'm driving a bicycle. And I threw, because I was a great thrower, because I was throwing newspapers. I threw my paper in his head, knocked him over, bike fell, scratches all over it. He got his 5 friends to jump me. And unfortunately, some people in the neighborhood saw I was getting jumped and they yelled out and they scattered. And I had to go because I was a baby boomer. Remember, I was ballsy, I was gutsy, I was not a bully. But if I got picked on, man, in Philadelphia, you had to flip that odds around in your favor, and you had to not be the bully. But then if you got bullied, you had to bully the fuck out of those people that bullied you. So you know what I did? And I'm not proud of this, but it's a situation of Philadelphia, a tough neighborhood in Philadelphia. South Philly, mafia place around there. I went to each of those 5 kids, I had to beat them up. That's what I did. I had to beat them up. Last kid I beat up, he ran into his house. I ran into his house and I beat him up in front of his parents. They called the police. Police came to my house. Police said, you know what? He told me this in front of my parents. He said, if that happens again, just make sure you beat him up outside. That's what the policeman told me. He said, make sure you beat him up outside. Beat him up outside. Don't beat him up in front of his parents. Don't go in the house. Beat him up outside. That's what the policeman told me. Tough Philadelphia cop. Tough Philadelphia cop knowing the situation of Philadelphia. Baby boomers and Generation X. Their kids, of course, the baby boomers then have spoiled rotten the Generation X kids because they were spoiled with the mini bike at the age of 12 years old. So they're going to give their kids, because they're not home, they're both working, they're giving their kids anything they want. And of course, Generation X, once you get to the millennials, they all want these $1,000 cell phones. They want their first car given them by their parents because their parent is driving around a BMW. So, Mom, Dad, you're driving around a BMW. How about buying me a fucking car? How about buying me a Trans Am? And 2002 is the last year for Trans Am. So probably some of them were driving around in Trans Ams when they're millennials. Then they're not making money because they're lazy fucks. They're entitled fucks. And they want money. They want money from their parents. They want stuff from their parents because their parents were a lame-ass generation as well. Sorry to say that. So it trickles. It's a huge domino effect. And that's why you got all this shit happening now. That's why you got people at the beach. I'll pull up that picture again, that pathetic picture again. Here we go. We got the guy in the back with a glazed set of eyes. If he pulls the glasses off, you could probably see the you could probably see the red blood vessels in his eyes. And I don't know why he's got red blood vessels in his eyes, because there's probably no blood going to his head because he's a numb nut. And then you got the other guy here. How stupid is this? This guy takes the cake, doesn't he? Look at him. He's kissing a toilet. He's licking a toilet. His lips are on the toilet. Probably his nose is on the toilet. And this is a guy that's of an intelligent caliber to take over this country once prior generations have gone. This guy is going to be smart when his brains are in the toilet. Basically, his brains are in the toilet. So this is what I'm going to say. Stuff that's happening now, is it happening because of the prior generations? The generation that preceded me, my mother and father. The first generation of coming down of responsibility given to their kids. The silent generation. Silent generation giving the baby boomers these mini bikes at the age of 12, where they drive around and they crash and fall. And there are 2 handicapped guys I know in my same Holy Spirit school, David and Lewis, who suffered from that fall because they're driving around at the age of 12 in a mini bike, a powered motor bike. In fact, to be honest with you, right now when I'm driving around to take our dog to the dog park, and I get to the dog park, I see these. How old are they? They got to be like 5 or 6 years old, and they're on these little motorized electrical little cars. They're on these little cars, these electric cars that their parents have bought for them. And my wife and I always say, what the fuck are they doing with these things? They should be, first of all, They should be on shit that they peddle so that they can burn off that fat that they got when they're a lazy kid playing video games. And then, no, by the way, no one else says this and that's why I have so few people that care about this show, because I'm one of the few people that really tells you what the fuck's on my mind. And if you don't like that, then you don't have to like this. And obviously a lot of people don't. That's why my show doesn't grow. But this is I go out there with our dog and I see kids 4 or 5 years old on these little electric, they charge them up at night and then they sit in it and they're riding around in this little electric vehicle looking cool. They got the little Jeep. Or they probably got the little Tesla now, right? Because their dad drives a Tesla and their mother drives a Tesla. So the little 4-year-old kid, he's got to drive a little Tesla, a little electric Tesla at the age of 4. Instead of what he should be doing is he should be with a bike with training wheels, learning how to drive the bike with training wheels, take the training wheels off. The kid's going to ride his bike. He's going to build up some muscle. He's going to be fit. He's going to be trim, slender. He's going to be playing sports like I did. How did all this get fucked up? With the video games and sitting in front of the video games, getting fat, bloated, full of gas, full of farts. And he's sitting there watching, and then I don't understand where things went wrong, but I do understand. They went wrong from the silent generation giving me, my generation, the baby boomers, their first little taste of free shit. Free shit. Socialism and liberalism started with the baby boomer generation. It really did. It started with us getting spoiled from our parents, the ones that were lame enough to fall into that category. And I saw it. Fortunately, it wasn't my parents, but it was other parents in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Packer Park, Pennsylvania, Broad and Packer Avenue, down near the stadiums, who were part of the mafia, who were buying their kids a bunch of shit that they should have never had as soon as they were born. As soon as that breast came out of their mouth when they were breastfeeding, they were given a bunch of shit so that they wouldn't cry. And then all those baby boomers are raised to compete with their next door neighbor to get a better house, a bigger car, the first BMW before the next door neighbor got a BMW. And then they're ignoring their kids and spoiling their kids, and they don't care about their kids. Their kids don't care about them. My next door neighbor, you could hear his kids when this was about 6 years ago. The kids telling his father, my wife said, "Oh my God, can you hear the language?" Telling his father, "Fuck off." Said it repeatedly. Fuck you, Dad, from the guy next door. From the guy next door. And we live in a really nice development here. But the next door neighbor's kid disrespected him. And you could hear him say, could you imagine if I said that to my father? I would get an ass whipping. But now today you can't ass whip your kid for doing shit like that. You cannot lift a finger to your kid, otherwise you get sued. Your kid will take you to court and sue you. That's the way it's become now. That is the way this country has become so fucked up and lame. And that's why I call the millennials the millennials. That's why I call the millennials the millennials. That's why. So if you really want to think about and dissect this shit happening at the beach and this shit happening on a toilet, put them side by side. This is why this happens. It happens because of the previous generations. I thought about this a lot today. I really did think about this. I thought, how does this shit really happen? How does it happen? How does it develop? And the way it develops is because of, and I would say this a little bit with the silent generation, my parents, but a lot with the baby boomers. And it's funny because I had this guy, what's his name? I always forget his name because it's irrelevant. He has another show. He tries to do a podcast show. He's got no creativity, no ability to talk at all. What's his name? Can't even think of his name now. Oh, yeah, let me write it down so I don't forget. This guy, Richard Groiper, who I call Dick Groin Pain, by the way. I come up with nicknames for everyone. I call, what's that other, Heather Wade, I call her Weathered Hate. So I come up with all these names. So there's Dick Groin Pain guy, Richard Groiper. He's one of the people out there, by the way, that called and was proud to call this coronavirus. He was proud to call it the boomer remover because he's one of these guys that is in a generation of less success, and he's jealous because our generation, the baby boomers, and Generation X to a large degree, is more successful than his lame ass of his generation. assuming he may be a Generation Xer. I have no idea how old this guy is, but I just know his brain is fried. So I just threw him in there with millennials. If he's not a millennial or millennial, let me correct myself again. He should be in there because it's just his fucking brain dead. So if he's not a millennial, he should be because he's a total idiot. All right? So here's a guy who is calling this, and it's been on the web a lot. This coronavirus has been called by the generations that want our asses out of there. They want the baby boomers the fuck out of there because they're tired of us being successful, driving around in our BMWs that we probably, some of us shouldn't have had because we're idiots to begin with, spoiled rotten with our parents. So we're driving around, the ones that are entitled to it, not entitled, I hate that word entitled. The ones that have earned the BMW, like me, are driving around in our BMWs proud because we earned it. We weren't entitled to it. We weren't given it. We fucking earned it, all right? So we earned it. So we got these other guys, other Generation X's, and we got the millennials who are jealous of us. They just want us out of here. So they call this coronavirus, they're proud to call it the boomer remover or the boomer doomer because they want us out of there. So they see this targeting us because we're older. Some of us that are 61 years old, 62-year-olds, 70-year-old have existing conditions, damaged immune systems, so we're more susceptible to it. So instead of respecting us, remember, they don't like us, they don't respect us because a lot of the boomers ignored us. I'm taking calls in a little while. Not yet. Not yet. I'm not taking calls yet. Hang on. I'm not going to take calls yet. I want to continue my soliloquy here, my solo presentation. I want to be doing my Johnny Carson stand-up before the guest comes in. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing my Johnny Carson monologue. Before the calls come in, the guests call in. Not yet. So this is what I see. I see this boomer doomer and boomer remover. I see it as a hostility to our generation because we got more than them. They want us to have less than them. In fact, they want us to have less life than them by kicking us off the fucking planet. And that's why these guys are out there not caring about their getting these diseases, this coronavirus. They don't care about getting it because their immune systems are cranked up to be stronger because they're at their vibrant ages of their life. They're stronger. They think they're invincible. I have no idea really how invincible they are. This may mutate and may start to impact them. So you guys better watch your asses. In fact, I saw one video earlier that a caller shared with me or a viewer shared with me, showing me that this person was bragging and they're so happy that they're invincible. They're not going to catch this. And then evidently this person now is in the hospital. And now now all of a sudden they're in the hospital now. So they were not invincible. And now they're in there crying. They're crying. They need, I got toilet paper here. They need a piece of toilet paper. I'm going to rip off a little tiny piece here and show you how they're crying. They're crying because now they got a disease they thought they wouldn't catch. They caught a virus they didn't think they would catch. They're now suffering in the hospital when they did stupid shit like partying at the beach or licking a toilet bowl because they thought they were invincible, but they knew that we were invincible. Is that the opposite of invincible? Vincible? They thought we were susceptible. The other generation, which they don't give a fuck about. We're not with them playing beach volleyball. We're not with them at the beach, and if we are, they'd go to another part of the beach just because they don't want to be seen with the older generation. They want to be separate. They want to be out there with the string bikinis and all that shit. And I saw another one with I saw two girls on string bikini, guy behind them licking their buttholes and saying that they're not going to get corona. Oh no, this is what they did. I remember they had a Corona beer between the butt cheeks, and they were drinking the Corona beer between the butt cheeks, saying that they're not going to get corona. So there we go. So they're on there bragging that they're not going to get it. They ain't bragging on there saying that their grandfather or their father or other older people in them aren't going to get it because they don't give a fuck about them. They just give a fuck about their invincible characteristics, enjoying themselves together, partying like animals, completely not caring about any consequence that they will give to anyone older than them or potentially even their own consequence because they are not invincible. And it was proven when I saw that video of that young girl who thought she was invincible, bragging that she's invincible. She's not going to catch the virus. Now she's in the hospital with the toilet tissue, and I've got the same piece. And she's wiping her eyes now, crying because, oh my God, I got it. Help me. Help me. Help me, Rhonda. Remember that song, Help Me, Rhonda by the Beach Boys? Help me, Rhonda. Because now she's crying. Now she's crying. Now all of a sudden now, She's a person that should be called innocent. But she's in a, I wonder how many people she infected before she landed up in the hospital. They don't say that on the news at all. They just show this. But they don't dare show that potentially how many people, she contracted the virus. It takes 3 days to a week. It's, by the way, I'm allergic to ragweed and pollen. But not that bad. Don't have any runny nose or anything like that. But they don't talk about how many people that this girl could have infected when she got the virus. Took her about 3 days or a week before she had the symptoms that actually launched her into the hospital. How many people during that 7 days was she partying with? How many millennials was she partying with that then got the disease and spread it? Maybe none of them got it. Maybe there's no potential hospitalization from the people she was playing beach volleyball with, at the beach with, partying with and having a good time with, touching them, hugging them, kissing them. Like I showed you the picture of these people on the beach, hugging and kissing and rubbing her fingers on this sweat bead you see dripping down the arm here. This guy here in the back probably is going to feel up some booty later on that evening with his glassed eyes, which he's got a stupid look in his eyes when he takes the glasses off. How many women did he feel up that night? And contracting this disease amongst themselves and his friends, spreading it. And then they go out into the general public. They're maybe working in a restaurant before all this shit happened. Working in a restaurant, serving customers that are older than them. Serving a guy who's 50 years old who maybe has a little bit of maybe he's got asthma or something like that. Maybe he's serving another guy who's 58 years old who's got diabetes. And this 20-year-old girl who's contracted it from being at the beach partying, who's now in the hospital, didn't know she had this, wasn't in the hospital until 9 days later. I didn't read the article. 9 days later, but during that time she was at work giving these people the coronavirus that they are going to suffer from because of these idiots. Unbelievable. They don't put that in the news. I didn't see that part of the news to see and analyze how many people she exposed or potentially exposed due to her stupidity, and now she's in the hospital crying. Oh my God, my life is in danger. My life is in danger. No, your life's in danger. How many other people's lives are in danger because of your stupid ass? They don't say that at all. How come they don't say this? And how come reporters, I'm not a reporter, but that's in my mind. How come I didn't see a single reporter when that girl's in the hospital crying because she's got the coronavirus and she's in there and she's suffering right now? No one asked her, how many people did you meet? When did you contract it? When did you start feeling symptoms early on? Were you still going to work? And how many people what kind of job do you have? Oh, you work in a restaurant. What restaurant did you work in? Is it a crowded restaurant? How many people are in that restaurant on an average day? What was your work shift? And let's calculate here. She probably saw 150 people. 150 people she could have contaminated because of her contaminated brain and her lack of ability to think about shit and her lack of care and her lack of respect for anyone else except herself. Now she expects everyone else to respect her ass by giving her medical treatment when she should be in a mental institute because she's got fucking brain damage. That's what she should be in. She should be in a mental institution instead of the hospital because she's suffering from brain damage. That's what her ailment is. It's brain damage. Let's see. I'm going to say hello to John. I'm going to say hello to Terry. I'm going to say hello to Mike. I'm going to say hello to Lamppost. Richard Gropey as a millennial god. Okay, so this is Lamppost. So Lamppost, you seem to like him. And I told you, know what? I can no longer tolerate bullshit. So Lamppost, I'm going to probably block you because I don't want to. Richard Groper is a millennial god. All right, let's see. I did this before. Here we go. Let's see. How do I do this? Remove. Fuck you. I'm removing you. Lamppost, you're gone because your head is about. You have as much brain as a fucking lamppost. All right. So you're gone. I don't feel like putting up with bullshit from people that say someone's a god when that guy is a total and complete idiot. All right. And that's what I'm going to start saying. I'm going to start calling people idiots when they're idiots because they need to be called idiots. They need to be held responsible for the fact that they're idiots. So there's an idiot. I just removed Lamppost because that person has as much brain. I'm surprised that person could even type in chat. I'm surprised that person had the mental capacity to actually type letters and words and a sentence in chat. I'm shocked. Good to see Brian. Good to see Curtis. And good to see Shell. Good to see Corwin. And now, if any of you guys want to call and take me on tonight, because obviously I'm in somewhat of a fucking mood. If you want to call up, 480-236-2111. Now you can call. Let me make sure I got a charge on my phone. I do. If you would like to call at this instance, you may call and I will take your call, all right? In the meantime, what I'm going to do now, while I'm waiting for the phone to ring, if it ever rings, because a lot of people don't have the guts to call me because they are scared of a host that is actually willing to risk the success of his show, because obviously I don't care about the fucking success of this show. I just care about saying what's on my mind, and I will say what's on my mind even if it's to two people. All right? So let's play. This is kind of funny. Oh, we do have a caller now. Let's take the call. It's Dave Darren on the Dave Darren Show. What is going on in your neck of the woods, and what neck of the woods are you in?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay, so what's going on in your state? What's going on in your neighborhood?
Well, there's that boy who was licking the toilet is not the first. There was a girl, a blonde. Oh, well, no, she wasn't blonde, but I don't know what color. Yeah, you can't tell what color fucking hair people have. She was licking the toilet also.
Well, hopefully her hair was in the toilet. Hopefully someone. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that toilet was full of diarrhea, and her long blonde hair was in the diarrhea-filled toilet while she's licking the rim of the toilet bowl. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, no, but she did get the coronavirus.
She got it. Good for her. Good for her. I'm happy for her.
Yes. And the things I wanted to bring up tonight, I understand your anger towards the millennials. I mean, they would be our grandchildren, or my grandchildren.
Yeah, right.
The millennials would be my grandchildren. They're on spring break.
Yep.
They're down in fucking Florida. And it'd be over my dead body that one of my grandchildren got on an airplane to go to spring break in Florida when there's a virus going around killing people. Now, how do these people allow these kids to go?
Well,
go to Florida.
I know exactly how. I said it earlier. This is exactly how it happened. The silent generation raised the baby boomers, gave them their mini bikes at the age of 12, gave them everything they wanted as soon as the breast came out of their mouth and they stopped breastfeeding. They're given everything, and then the baby boomers then, both parents go to work to make their child not cry and throw a tantrum. They give that child everything they want, and it domino effects on so that there's a lack of respect. So like I said, my next door neighbor, this kid was saying, fuck you to his dad. He said that word about 10, 15 times. So can you believe my next door neighbor would tell his child, no, you're not going. You are not going to spring break. That kid, you know what he's going to do? He's going to disrespect his father, walk out of the house, shack up with his girlfriend for the night, and then probably the next day they're going to hop on a plane to Florida. They're going to be partying. The guy's probably going to put a Corona beer between his girlfriend's ass cheeks, lick the Corona beer, be on YouTube, because they want that to go viral. They want shit to go viral. You know what they're going to get? They're going to catch a virus by trying to make this shit go viral. And then the kid's going to come back. He's going to say to his dad, I had a good time, I had a great time. And his father's going to maybe take him back into the house, ask him what he had. Maybe his son and him are going to sit down and have a beer. And his kid's going to give him the coronavirus. And by the way, my next door neighbor's had his parent, I think it was my next door neighbor's wife's mother was living with them. So she had to be in her 80s. So that kid comes back. He's going to give the parents and this 80-year-old grandmother, the virus. And by the way, she died not too long ago. I wonder if she died of the coronavirus. I don't even know. It's possible.
Yeah.
I don't even know. That's all that happened. It happened because of, I said, the baby boomer generation was the first generation to be very successful, by the way, financially very successful. But I think we are the ones responsible for the initial impact of the downfall of the generations that followed, to be lack of respect, disrespect, total disregard, and a total fuck up. I think we're responsible. I think we are responsible.
It could be because we were working so hard to succeed.
Yep.
Because that's what we did. We worked hard to succeed, Dave.
Right.
And maybe we didn't give the attention to the kids that we should have.
Yep, and we worked too hard to succeed, to be competing with the next door neighbor. So, like I said, so that we would have a BMW before them, so we would have a house before them. By the way, one of my wife's friends, we were living in Delaware. We had a townhouse, so we were living below our means. We always live below our means so that we don't have to suffer.
Well, I do too.
So we don't have to suffer and be one of these people that lives paycheck by paycheck that are financially devastated right now because they did not plan for situations like this to occur, yet my wife and I do. So here's what happened. Those two people, one of them was a Japanese girl and the other one was an American husband. They bought a house, a single home. We're living in a townhouse. My wife said that she heard her friend tell her friend, oh, look, Dave and his wife are living in a townhouse. Look at us, we're in a single house. Look at us, we're in a single house. You know what happened to them? This is during the downfall of the economy and the house bubble burst. You know what happened to them? Their house went under foreclosure. We moved into a single house in Arizona that we don't even have a mortgage on. And they now, I don't know what happened to them because I don't give a fuck what happened to them, but they lost their house. They lost their house. They got divorced and they're done. They're finished because they lived in that greedy aspect.
You ate everybody tonight.
Oh yeah.
You're not really like that.
No, I am. I am like this, by the way. At least I don't camouflage.
You hate everybody?
No, I like...
Do you hate everybody, Dave?
No, I like my dog in the back. Look at him. I love that dog. But, you know...
I can't hear you.
So I just got it. This is my attitude tonight, and it's an authentic attitude. I'm a moody guy. I'm a moody guy. Sometimes I'm in a very good mood.
I am too.
I'm very moody.
I'm a moody person.
I'm a moody person, and I admit that. I admit to every fault I've got.
I do too.
Yep.
Let me tell you what I want to talk about tonight.
Okay, go ahead. Go for
Something
it.
that Chrissy had pointed out to me about Dr. Phil. She kept saying to me, you got to watch Dr. Phil. You've got to watch Dr. Phil. Well, Dr. Phil has been doing his show in an empty studio from his office by himself with a camera, or in his own kitchen, talking about the coronavirus.
He's all alone. He's all alone. He's all alone. Was he watching porn and masturbating on the air? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw that.
It really turned me on.
Right.
Will you listen to me?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, he was talking about people stocking up on toilet paper and shit like that, but also people stocking up on guns.
Yes.
Because they're so afraid that somebody's going to break into their house and try to get what they have bought and stored, or they've got so much anxiety that they're going to kill themselves. It's a spur-of-the-moment thing. They don't, if they shoot themselves and survive, they're happy. But the spur-of-the-moment thing, Dave, some of them are so scared, some people are so frightened by this virus that they will commit suicide. Because of the anxiety, and I can understand the anxiety, Dave. I've had a lot of anxiety about it. I've had anxiety because I can't do what I please. I'm used to doing exactly what I want, when I want, without thinking about it. Now I have to think about every fucking step I take, and it's driving me crazy. I'm the type of person that should never have a gun, because I kill somebody or I kill myself. I'm talking about spur-of-the-moment things. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So I know, don't get a gun. Don't get a gun.
Right.
I'll
tell you one good. I'll tell you one good thing about that. The one good thing is if someone breaks into your house to steal toilet paper, and there's also a lack of meat. Although it's getting better. I went to the grocery store today, and you could actually get everything except toilet paper. Though I saw that there was no toilet paper, but there was now cold cuts available. There was milk available. There was actually eggs available. So other stuff is coming back online, so it's now available because it's been about a month now. So we're starting to get a little less anxious because we're getting a little more used to it. But here's one advantage, when there's not meat on the shelf, someone breaks into your house to steal stuff from your house, and you shoot them. At least you got some food there, right? I mean, you cook the guy up on the grill in the backyard, and you can chomp on a thigh or you can get some food out of that guy. It's not a bad.
I like liver.
Yeah, you got him. You cook him up on a grill with a little bit of spaghetti sauce on there, some A1, some little A1 steak sauce on that. You put A1 steak sauce on the A-hole. You just. So I don't know.
You're really gross.
I know. I know.
Yeah, but I can see Dr. Phil's point about the anxiety. It's just as bad as the coronavirus because people are suffering now from anxiety and depression I guess they've always had a tendency towards anxiety, but because of the coronavirus, it's extenuated itself, So people are really suffering, Dave.
I think they're suffering from watching Dr. Phil. I think that's what they're suffering from. That is such a boring fucking fake show, if you ask me. I saw.
No, it is not. He's a forensic
bullshitter.
Psychologist.
He's fucking boring.
He cannot lie.
He's fucking boring.
He can't lie.
He's boring. I can't watch that guy without shutting it off.
Oh, fucking Dave.
You know what
all you can do is complain to me. You don't like anything.
No, you know what I do?
If I just called up and said I was Princess Diana and wanted to fuck you, you'd be all happy and everything.
Yeah, I do this. I'll tell you what I do, though. I do record Dr. Phil's show every single day. I record his show every day so I can hit the delete button. That's why I record it, just so I can hit that delete button and get his ass off. I want to make sure I record him so I can remove his ass. That's what I do.
Dave,
yes.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to record it tonight. I'm going to record it and I'm going to remove it deliberately. Yeah, and I'll do a video recording of me deleting his ass off on my TV set. I'll record that for you tomorrow. Okay, that'll be my intro.
May I ask you why you think I have to learn about the coronavirus?
Why do you have to learn about it? You should learn about it, right?
Yes.
It's important.
Why does Carrie have to learn about the coronavirus?
Well, you should learn about it because you're an intelligent individual who needs to learn about how to protect
yourself. You made me preach everything in the world. I preached every goddamn subject on the coronavirus because you made me preach it.
I don't know what that word is. Queeze it? What is that word? Queeze
what is it? Preach? Q-U-E-C? I don't even know how to spell it now.
Oh, you tweaked it.
I was talking to you about the coronavirus all of a sudden. I punched the fucking coronavirus and it says, preach. And I'm preaching everything. I don't even know where to find it.
When you see my video on the screen right now, are you tweeting stuff right now while you're watching me? Are you tweeting stuff?
Am I tweeting
Yes.
stuff?
Like, are you putting your hand under your bra and tweeting yourself right now while you're talking to me? Are you tweeting yourself?
Actually, I am.
See that? I knew it. There we go. Have a Pabst Blue Ribbon while you tweet yourself. Okay.
Oh, I did. No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me let you go for the evening unless you have another commentary to make or something else you want to talk about.
No, I missed you. I wanted to talk to you. You were such a fucking jerk. You told me I could stay on the line. All of a sudden, I went to ask Sparky a question about her allergies what do you call it? She can't take like the flu shot. She can't take shots like that because they make her sick. There's something in it that makes her very sick. And you fucking cut me off. If I had you, I would have strangled you.
No, but you know why I cut you off? Because you said that you were going to give her time to talk, and then I noticed you were starting to talk over.
I asked him a question. I was going to say, what happens if they come up with a coronavirus, vaccine? Are you going to be able to take that, or would you take that?
Oh, well, don't take Advil, by the way.
And said no, just cuts me right off like a little fucking kid.
Yeah, well, don't take Advil, by the way. Even though I'm giving you a headache tonight, don't take Advil. Advil's bad for you. Take Bufferin.
Advil is bad. Motrin is very bad for you, yeah.
Right, yeah. What's Motrin for? Isn't that the thing for periods? Isn't Motrin?
Well, Motrin is Advil.
Oh, I thought Motrin was the period stuff. And when you're on your period, you take Motrin to relieve
No,
cramps.
no. Motrin is not for your period.
Oh, okay.
What is for your period?
What's for your...
There is a film for it, but...
Yeah, there is. I don't know what it is.
It's not Motrin.
I don't know. I know some guys now are on their period because they're all fucking pussies because they're scared about...
Especially I think you're going through the male menopause.
Yeah.
Because you can be so bitchy. Oh, boy, can you be a bitch. You know it?
Right. Well, I know people that suffer from menopause, too. They're usually the guys that want guys behind them to push their stuff into their back door, and they're called menopause. They pause their body so they can be penetrated. So there we go. That's what menopause is.
Darren's going through male menopause right now.
Could be. Let's see. We got some.
Could be.
Let's read some comments here. Brian Anderson says, I didn't hear about the one. I don't know. John said, remember? Oh, here John's talking about Dr. Phil, your hero. John says, remember?
No, he's not my hero.
No,
I'm just saying.
Let's see. John.
He had some valid points that we have not spoken about.
Who? Dr. Phil? He's got some valid points. He's got a pointed head. That's what he's got. He's got a valid point on the top of his head. He's wearing a dunce cap. That dunce cap is a point. The only hat he can wear is a dunce cap. Remember, no one even knows what a dunce hat is anymore. When you were a kid, when I was a kid in school, if you were an idiot, you sat in the back of the classroom with a dunce hat on your head. Looked like the old cones, the cone heads. You can't wear a dunce.
Put on your head?
Yeah, you put a dunce cap on your head because you're a dunce. You're an idiot. You can't do that anymore. You put a dunce cap.
Dunce cap.
Dunce.
Yeah, I remember the dunce cap.
You can't put a dunce cap on a kid anymore because the kid's going to sue the teacher because he dared to insult him and embarrass him.
Yeah.
And
remember the nuns used to pick us up by our ears? They picked you right up out of the chair by your ear.
Yes, I remember that.
They didn't care.
That's right. I used to like them.
That's right. They pulled your arm. They make you stand up for an hour. For Christ's sake, they didn't care.
Yeah, well, I went to a Catholic school, and I liked the nuns because I found them to be extremely sexy. So I have no complaint with nuns. They were the sexiest thing I've ever seen. The first time I masturbated, I was thinking about a nun. Sister Victor. Sister Victor. I wanted to give her the Blessed Sacrament.
Although I did have a crush on a priest.
Wow.
Father Thomas.
Well, priest.
Now, he was a good-looking man.
Yeah, well, priest
he was good-looking.
Priests aren't interested in you. They're interested in the altar boy. So you could have never scored with the priest.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about this priest. I used to go in and do confession.
Right.
And, of course, I always lied because I always swore like a trooper.
Right.
So I always lied.
Right.
And one day I'm still on my knees talking to him, and I looked to my left, and there he is standing there. And I almost shit. He said, "Come out of there." He said, "You're not telling the truth. Go over there and sit there on that bench until I'm through." And oh boy, did he yelled at me.
Ooh.
He made me cry. Not the priest.
The priest?
He came out. I always went into his confessional because I thought he was so handsome, but I always lied. I swore once. I would say that, but I swore every word out of my mouth was fuck.
Wow.
And that's right. So I'm telling him this, and all of a sudden I look over to my left, and there he is standing. He said, "Come out of there, Truth Authority." And he told me to sit on the bench, and he took other people into the confessional. And then when everybody was gone, he yelled at me, and he made me cry. And he said, "You want me to call your mother and father? Or do you want to come in here and tell me the truth?" And I said, "I'll tell you the truth."
What was that priest's name again?
Twice.
What was that priest? What was that priest's name again?
Father Thomas.
Thomas. We do have another call, but let me put this person on hold, and I'll get back to you, Terry. Hello, this is Dave Darren on the Dave Darren Show. Who's calling in?
Hey, Dave, this is Sparky. How are you tonight?
Sparky, hey, how's it going? I'm in a little outrageous mood tonight. You can probably tell if you're listening to my show.
Oh, I know. That's
Yeah,
good.
if you're listening to my show, you're probably heavily embarrassed to even call in. I'm surprised you called in.
Not at all. No,
Okay.
not at all. No, because you started out, on a real serious topic, and now it seems to be kind of running in different directions.
Yeah.
So I just, first of all, I had a couple of comments I wanted to make. I used to watch a lot of talk shows and stuff, and I have noticed that the ones that have had a lot of shows pre-recorded already. They're playing those shows. Kelly Clarkson yesterday, she had guests on there. But the rest of the people now are doing shows without an audience. Kelly Ripa and, whatever his name is, Kelly and Ryan, I guess it is. Secret, yeah. They're actually doing shows. Each one is in their own house and stuff. Well, that's, the kind of thing with that. On the Dr. Phil thing, I've been thinking about it since Terry mentioned that. I didn't happen to hear that show. But I'm wondering if that is maybe just a little bit overblown, possibly, because I can't see a person that may not have a psychological predisposition to killing themselves suddenly kill themselves now. I don't know. So I was wondering what you thought about that comment.
So go through that one more time. So someone was on Dr. Phil's show saying that, what was the topic? The topic was that this coronavirus can throw someone that's potentially on the line of suicidal to make them actually go the direction of suicide?
That's what Terry was saying she heard him say.
Okay, so...
And so my thoughts, because I've been mulling it over in my mind since she said it, and I just wonder if that's maybe just a little bit overblown, possibly, because I can't see a normal person who is psychologically sound suddenly turning around and committing suicide. If somebody has a predisposition to suicide, then possibly this could maybe cause them to kill themselves. But I think that's just a little bit overblown. But that's just, my thought. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, have you been watching any of the presidential briefings? I was wondering what your thoughts were on how this current administration is handling the pandemic for the United States.
Yeah, I have been watching them. I missed the last 2 days, so I've been out of touch for the last 2 days. But I was watching it heavily last week, and I thought that the people that he brought in on the coronavirus team, what do they call it? The what's the name of it? The official name for it? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just all the people behind him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the people behind the task force, I think they call it. I think that they're they're very dedicated. They're very professional. They're very well spoken, by the way. They're clear and precise in their dialogue, and they answer the questions very clearly. So they are a very good team behind them. And I think the president is doing a really good job in one important aspect, and that is to bring the right people to the forum to be approached by the media and by the general questions. So I think he's doing a very good job organizing it. I think that the team behind him is doing a better job than he is in presenting it, because they are more, you got to realize this, the president is not fully knowledgeable on every aspect that needs to be covered. So he's relying on the people behind him to be the knowledgeable subject matter experts, and they indeed are. So I think the whole thing is being handled quite well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, Trump is not a millionaire for being a stupid man.
Right.
And people that are successful know to put in place people that know more than they do in various, shall we say, aspects of their business. So I think that's, we're seeing that, with, Dr. Fushi, or I can't pronounce his name, the little short guy that speaks, I'm rather impressed with.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm really personally upset about, and I watched it again today, and then I got interrupted and didn't see all of it. However, Trump keeps saying, or President Trump, to be respectful, keep saying how, this testing's starting to go really well and blah, blah, blah. That's a bunch of bullshit. It's not.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually, you've seen that too, Terry?
Yes, I did, and I agree 100% because the testing is not going well because they're testing and they're not even sure if the test is accurate.
Well, not
They're
only
not sure, Sparky.
yeah, and not only that, he had I think it was the president of Walmart or the owner of Walmart, and they had him on, I guess a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was saying how there will be all the testing available for people at Walmart, Target, and what was the other one? Walmart,
CVS,
and Walgreens.
Right.
Yeah.
Walgreens.
Well, and drove around the other day just for the heck of it, and went to all these locations within the city I live in, and there's nothing set up there.
set up here either.
Yeah, and then you can't just go up there and drive up and have someone test you. And now I believe that they have a new test that's being going to be put in motion, and I think that it's the person, I think, swabs themselves and then hands it back to the person. But you cannot do that unless you have an okay from your doctor and whatever paperwork is required to do that. So, I mean, there was one lady very, very sick. I saw her, she had made a video, and she's, I believe, in the hospital, and she was saying she didn't have a fever. But yet again, she ended up very, very, very sick. And the other thing I think is really interesting that's starting to pop out now, that they're saying that a lot of the people prior to actually coming down with it, or it's just in the beginning stages, I'm not too sure which, seem to lose their sense of smell and
and taste.
Yeah, and I think that's yeah. So anyhow, I was just wanted your comments. I wanted to piggyback on your comments, Terry. And
I wanted to tell you about Dr. Phil. You were correct about that. They had a existing condition that made their anxiety levels so high that they were going out and buying guns. But I was so mad at Dave for the shit he was talking about, blaming everybody for everything.
Just be grateful, Dave is Dave, and quick. And
I love Dave. I love Dave.
Well, so let me bring you back. Let me bring you back on point on this. I'll bring you back on point on this. So I live in a suburb of Phoenix, about 22 miles outside of Phoenix. Now, believe me, I'm not interested in going to Phoenix because the population of Phoenix is higher, a lot higher, 5 million people, versus the community I live in the East Valley of Phoenix, 20-some miles away. So I do not go to Phoenix to see what their selection of Walgreens, CVS, or Target has outside. But I'm in the East Valley. There's a CVS right across the street from me, right next to the bank I belong to. So Walgreens, there's all the facilities around us because I'm not in isolation. I'm in a suburb. I haven't seen a single parking lot or facility equipped to take the outside drive-up test. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't seen it. And one time I went to there was a CVS before they started the request for testing, and they had pallets outside. So I thought they had the pallets because they were setting up for testing. And I went into the CVS and I said, I see the pallets out there. You're setting up for the testing. How about that? Right across the street from my house. And they said, no, these pallets are just set up for their stocking or whatever they are. I guess they brought in a bunch of inventory on the pallets, whether it was rolls of toilet paper, whatever, but it was not for testing. I haven't seen any testing facility at all in my area of the country, which is the East Valley of Phoenix, Arizona. I haven't seen it in Chandler, Gilbert, even Tempe. I haven't gone into Phoenix, and I have no desire to. So I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like Sparky said, I haven't seen it at all. Haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, hopefully it will improve. I hope very much. I have a friend whose son in Alaska, the last I heard, is sick and still hasn't gotten tested yet. And then the poor thing lost her husband on Monday. So,
it's just hard. So, okay, well, I just want to share the thoughts.
Actually, I have a question for you.
Oh, what's that?
I heard you talking about there are shots that you cannot take because they make you sick.
I'm allergic
Did I read that right?
well, I'm allergic to a lot of antibiotics. Nearly died a couple of times from them, and I'm just very chemically sensitive. I have a body that's very chemically sensitive. Yeah, I have never.
Now, what will happen if they come up with a virus?
Vaccine? Vaccine.
You know, a shot.
I've never had a
vaccine.
I've never had a flu shot, and I will not take one. Period.
You won't take the virus, the coronavirus.
No, I will not.
No.
I hardly ever get
you be
anyway.
careful.
Pardon me?
Be careful.
Oh, okay, I'm going to be careful, but there's a good chance that if I took that vaccine, it could kill me, and I'm not taking
it'd be worse off.
Yeah, I am not going to take that chance. So.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's
Okay.
what I wanted to ask of Mr. Darren.
Okay, well, let me...
Okay, I'm going to hang up now so you guys can chitter chat or they can address whatever other area he'd like to address.
Okay, well, I'm going to let
So
you...
you guys stay safe, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
you too, Sparky.
Okay,
Okay,
Sparky,
thanks.
thanks so much. And I'm going to let you both ladies go right now because I want to close down the show and give my final thoughts. So thanks very much, both of you ladies,
Okay,
for calling.
you're welcome.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, guys, so I'm back with you live now, and thanks for the calls tonight from Sparky and Terry. And just to close down the show, let me see. I wanted to talk a little bit, by the way, don't take any Advils, and Motrin, I guess, is the other one, because I heard a couple things. I was listening to several people that send me some stuff. So they said that it's a very dangerous thing. Supposedly Advil, which is whatever chemicals in an Advil, I forget what it is. I think acetaminophen is safe, and I think that's the one that is in the bufferin and the typical aspirin that you take. I think that's called acetaminophen. I think not phenobarbital. I forget what it is, but Advil's supposed to intensify the dangers by like 10 times. So make sure you don't take that. And by the way, don't take my word for any of the stuff that I say, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert at this. So don't listen to me. I'm just giving you what I heard and passing on to you to see if you've heard it. Then please evaluate it on your own behalf and make sure you tend to your own personal needs. That's probably the best thing to do. So let's see. Anything else tonight? Any other callers? If you'd like to call, I did block 2 people tonight. I blocked there, who started to make some comments, and I blocked Lamppost. I try not to censor people because I don't like censoring people. Because my whole thing, and I complained when I was censored from YouTube for a video I put up that was all about dick groin pain. So I was upset about getting censored. But you know what? If you're going to get on chat and start to humiliate people or me, you know what? I am going to start to censor people and remove them because I don't feel like putting up with bullshit anymore. That's just, I hit a limit. People will hit a limit and I hit the limit, so I don't feel like dealing with that aspect of chat or that aspect of communications on the phone. So I am going to block idiots that I feel like I need to block. I'm not going to hesitate any longer. I didn't hesitate tonight. I blocked those 2 people. Let's see, anything else? A few testing locations in Staten Island. John says there's a few and by the way, Cuomo out there. I will talk a little bit about this. We hear Cuomo all the time, the governor of New York, saying that he needs these. He needs 40,000 of this, 50,000 of this. By the way, it's insane to think what happened in New York City. What was the major event that happened in New York City? 9/11 of what year was it? 2001, right? 19 years ago. New York City is the #1 target in the entire United States, maybe of the entire world, for potential terrorists to attack. You've got to be prepared for every type of attack. When you're in New York City and you're the governor of New York City, you've got to be, you should be the one that should be saying to Trump, to President Trump, to be respectful, capital P, by the way, to be super respectful for all the hardship and all the stress he goes through. You got to be the one calling up Donald Trump and President Trump. Again, I screwed it up. President Trump is saying, we're all set in New York City because we are prepared. Thank you for your concern, your caring about New York City. Me as governor, have prepared New York City for the inevitable biological attack, whether it be biological warfare intentionally directed to us from China or some virus that just came out of nowhere. New York City should be primed and ready to combat this situation. The fact that Cuomo has not done what he needed to do to be prepared with all the tax revenue that they collect in New York City. And I know what the taxes are because I'm right over the river. I'm in Hoboken, New Jersey. I think I paid $9,800 for a small townhouse we got out there. So I know those taxes are collected. Where are all the taxes in New York City going? Where's all the money that they get for sales tax for people going to New York City from the entire world, paying sales tax on what they buy that the government is collecting in New York? Where's all that money going? It should be going to protect themselves, to protect the citizens that hired them in those offices to be prepared on their behalf, to be ready for situations like this. They should not be wanting for the mask. They should not be wanting for anything because they should have been ready for this situation to occur. If they're not ready for it, then what kind of fucking governor are you? And now he's over there crying. Let me get that tissue again. He's crying because he doesn't have enough for the city. He should have been ready. He was not prepared. Now he's asking for help. And he's getting help. Yet he's complaining he's not getting help. But he's getting help. That bill is, I forget how many millions of dollars are going to New York City. New York, the state of New York. Because they weren't prepared. So they are getting bailed out by the federal government. Yet you see him on there every day complaining that he ain't getting shit. He shouldn't really need as much shit as he's asking for because they should have been ready for this situation. New York City is probably the most targeted place in the United States for any type of warfare. Terrorism, biological warfare. They should be prepared for this shit. Should have known it was coming. They've had 19 years to prepare since 2001. Are they prepared? No, they're not. They're looking for the preparation to come from the federal government and from President Trump to stock them full of shit that they should have had all this time. That's all I got to say on that. Anything else? Let's see. There are 3 or 4 in all 5 boroughs. That's what John's saying. Let's see. I think that's all I got tonight. And Terry says she likes my beard. This is a one-day beard. I got to shave tonight. I shave usually every day. Gotten a little lazy lately since I'm working from home now all of the time. So I get a little lazy once in a while. That's all I got for tonight, guys. I'm going to close the show with a track that's kind of funny. My opening had this, but I'm going to do the full music video, which was kind of funny. So we'll play that right now. Thanks for joining the show. I'll see you guys some other time, whenever that happens to be. Cheers.
Oh yeah, touch that something. I think you understand. Now I need a scrubbing. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. Don't sneeze next to me. Watch where those droplets land. To freeze this disease, I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. 'Cause if I catch it, I'll feel crappy inside. I even want my latex gloves. Sanitized, sanitized, sanitized. Yeah, learn this one thing. The 20-second plan. Now my water's running. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta wash my hands. 'Cause if I catch it, I'll feel crappy my